Thank you, Laura, for inviting me. I'm excited to talk to you guys all about Giving Garden and our mission to grow communities around food and food around communities using technology. To start with, I want to give you an introduction of my team. So I'm the CEO of Giving Garden. I have a tech background. I've worked in technology for the last 15 years. I've worked at some big companies, including YouTube for Google, Xbox for Microsoft, and most recently at startup Script and Flipboard. My background's in product management and product marketing, so I work on growth products and growth marketing. My husband and co-founder Josh with me is our head of data. He and I actually met our two other co-founders at a hackathon last year. It's a hackathon here in Sacramento. It was called Apps for Ag, and we won that hackathon. And that's where we met John and Scott. And after having done the hackathon and won, we realized that we wanted to continue working on what we were working on. So now we're a full team. Before I get into what Giving Garden's going to do, I'll talk a little bit about why I'm interested in food. So this is actually a picture of me in the exact same spot, but as a teenager and as a kid, in my mom's kitchen. And my mom had a backyard garden, and I grew up cooking food from that garden with her and falling in love with that, and really having a connection with where my food came from. But as I grew up and when I became a teenager, I kind of lost that connection. And unfortunately, I was eating really unhealthy food. Most of the food I ate, if I looked at the ingredients label, I couldn't recognize what they were. And that was kind of bad habits that I had for a long time. It took me a long time before I started to get better habits to recognize that my connection with food, growing my own food, and eating food that I knew where it came from was super important for me as a person, but also I saw that it was helpful for communities and made communities healthier and happier. Oh, yes. Sorry. And so one thing to note is this is not kind of a new concept. There are lots of people that are writing about this and talking about how our disconnection with food has had an impact on our society. It's had an impact on our communities, their health, and their happiness. Michael Pollan happens to write a lot about that. This is a quote from one of his books, where he really is calling for people to want to shake the hands of the people that feed them. And that's something that we believe we can do with technology. And we think that there's a growing movement around that. So these are three urban gardeners, a new generation who want to be actually growing their own food and growing communities around food. They created an urban garden called Victory Gardens, which is kind of an old term from World War I and World War II, where people came together to sustain themselves growing their own food. Now, one of the big differences is that these women have technology in their hands, and they're expecting technology to help them with the process of pretty much everything in their life, but including growing. And we've seen that actually when we look at search trends. So this is a search trend graph that's actual Google search trend results from 2005 to 2015. And when we look at the search trends around what to plant, what to garden, what to grow, those queries, you see those going up and continue to go up. And we also know that there's a market. So the market for gardeners is actually growing. 35% of households in America are growing food in either their backyard or their community garden. And community gardens are on the rise, which is also one of the reasons why younger gardeners are starting to get involved in gardening more, because a lot of them don't have a backyard. They're in an urban area, so they're using community gardens. And that actually, community gardens is up 200% in terms of people using. And then in terms of actual market sales, $3.6 billion are being spent a year on growing food and gardens. So our vision is that with this market, we believe that there's room for a local social network for gardening and local food enthusiasts, and that's what we want to build with Giving Garden. And we want to connect experts with newbies to help newbies be able to grow efficiently in their microclimate. Because some of the best advice you can get on gardening is from your neighbor. They're going to know the microclimate much better than anyone else. So we want to be able to bring them together with technology. And also, we want to enable food sharing. So that when gardeners often will have too much of one thing, they can't possibly eat it, we want to be able to enable food sharing and reduce waste of food. And then lastly, over time, what we're hoping to do is there's no really good data set right now for microclimate information on urban gardening. We would like to be able to build that data set through working with people so we can give people good real-time geo alerts on how to garden in their area, in their specific microclimate. So we actually have a beta now for our iOS and Android app. It's a closed beta in Davis, but we're going to be opening it up next week. And it will still be a beta. We have lots of features we want to build. But the features that we do have in the beta is that you'll be able to have a profile like any social network. You'll be able to connect with other people who have profiles within your neighborhood. You'll be able to give produce, add produce into the feed, and other people can claim it and get it. And then also you can get advice from people around you so you can learn how to grow food. This is actually the flow in which if you found food, you would basically then have a private chat with the person and then determine a place where you want to exchange the food, and then you can close out your offer. All right, there we go. So we have a lot of future areas. That's just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface of what we want to do with urban gardening and connecting local enthusiasts. Some of the things we want to do, as I mentioned, is the microclimate growing advice that we want to be able to provide people. Planting features for your garden. We believe that this could become a marketplace for people who want to sell their actual products. And actually fruit trees are a really interesting area where we see the most food waste in urban areas. And so we really want to tap into showing people where fruit trees are available, where they can harvest. And we want to work with food banks and food pantries so that some of this produce can go to those who are food insecure. And lastly, we're looking at new models for local food distribution. Right now, the way it works is that you would just go and meet somebody and give them the food. Perhaps there's someone who has a commute on their bike that already goes by your place, and they want some fruit too, and they could actually do that for you. So we're looking into interesting areas there. So the financial opportunity that we see here is that this is a growing demographic. Local advertising could be one method of monetizing the app. In addition, the e-commerce part that people actually sell will take a cut from those sales. And then a freemium model. As we start to build more features for gardeners, you might have a subscription for certain parts. Some parts would be free and some parts would be paid. But the biggest thing for us is that we want to make an impact. We believe that when you grow communities around food, you get more happiness, and there's lots of studies that show stronger communities have more happiness. And also that impacts their mental health, and then by eating better food from homegrown products, you get better physical health. In addition, we would hope to be reducing waste of food through being able to put food up in line, which actually has a huge environmental impact. All areas that we care deeply about. So I guess I'll be talking about my one ask, but we will be coming up to Sacramento, and we are super interested in getting feedback from people on the things that they would like to see in our product. So thank you.
Is there anything else the community can help you with?
I think partnerships are going to be really key for us. Like we need to get in front of the people who care about the environment and want to be doing more urban gardening. So that's one of our key areas. We'd love to have help if you know people in the urban gardening space who are working in the food system. Those are going to be key partners for us.
So I'll open it up to questions.
So, if at all, how does this fit into farmers markets?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one thing that we have thought about is the farmers markets could actually be a place where you pick it up. So because some people may not want people to come to their door or meet them even, they don't even want to have to meet them, but they're going to the farmers market, but they might want to exchange it there. So we've thought about actually having like little kiosks at the farmers market where we know what you've basically ordered on the app and you can come and pick it up there. The one risk we run into is that farmers markets, the people who manage them, they might see that as competitive with farmers. I'm hoping that they don't because they see it more as part of an overall ecosystem of environmental health. And then also I would hope that we can actually get small farmers on it too, and this can be a way for them to actually pre-sell before they go to the market. Does that answer the question?
It does.
Very good.
I have a question. A partner that comes to mind for me is Nextdoor. And just wondered if you guys have thought about that and how you might do that.
Yeah, so Nextdoor is I love Nextdoor. Nextdoor is actually kind of one of the reasons why I felt like this would be a really interesting place to go into, because if you look at Nextdoor, at least in my neighborhood, it's actually hard to see Nextdoor outside your neighborhood because they're very good at keeping it so you can only see your neighborhood. In my neighborhood, a lot of the food content is the most engaged. People are engaging on it a lot, but it gets lost between crime reports and lost cats and stuff like that. So people don't necessarily see the stuff, and that's what we are it's going to be our area to be able to just capture the people that care about food. So one of the things we are doing is we are actually reaching out to some of those people that we see on Nextdoor, answering some of people's questions. And we reached out to them and said, hey, we saw that you're actually answering a lot of gardening questions. We have a gardening app. Would you be interested in using our app? That's, eventually that could lead to sort of bigger partnerships with Nextdoor. They're currently doing monetization with advertising, so that might even be an avenue for us to advertise in there for the people who said they're interested in gardening.
Why are you starting in Davis? And then what do you get on the free version versus the free?
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah, so, we're starting in Davis because I live in Davis. But also Davis has a very, there are a lot of active gardeners in Davis. One of my hopes, and actually a lot of them actually study plant science, so these are experts in the field, and yet they do it at home as well. And in many ways, I think getting some of those people to first start answering the questions, we can learn a lot from them, and they're also really open to giving us feedback. So it's kind of a friendly environment where we can learn what we need to do before we try to go to other places. The app, the way it is today, does not work very well if you don't have more than 15 people in your community. So we have to start community by community. We do have a mechanism in the beta where we say, you're not in Davis or Sacramento, so invite your friends, and we know zip codes, so once we get enough people in your area, we'll open it up. And that's a lot of college apps are doing that. Like, we need more people in your university before we open it up to university. So we're going that route. And then what was your second question?
Free versus premium.
Free. We haven't gotten there yet. We're currently 100% free.
Oh.
Yeah, we would probably have some of the calendaring and some of the more deep gardening stuff be things that you would have to pay for.
Okay. And how many people do you have right now? Sorry.
So right now we're in a closed beta, so it's only friends and family, so the numbers wouldn't really, yeah.
Cool.
I was just going to kind of continue on your question. Are you eventually wanting to go global or all of the states? I say this.
Yeah. So we're, yes, would love to go global if we have something that can go global and can scale. I do think some of the growing advice features could be something that we could work on globally. We are very much considering this an experimental platform where we're trying different things at this point and seeing what thing sticks with people and what actually helps urban gardeners, and then take that and build on top of that. And if it has global scale, then we'll totally go for it.
You mentioned Nextdoor is kind of limited to the neighborhood. With this app, is it limited to a certain range, or is it at the city level or something smaller?
Yeah, so we're actually doing 50-mile radius. We are going to look and see if we should bring that down. Based on the way we do it, this was actually one of the things I didn't really like about gardening apps that I was checking out, was that they would actually ask me where I lived, and then they'd also ask me what zone I'm in, and I'm like, can you just tell that from looking at my location?
Yeah.
So we're like already eliminating that kind of friction right there. But we will experiment with how far we want to go, and we'll also give people the option to change their location. Right now, the way it works is you have a home location and it's where you're at. But we want to give people the option, like, hey, I'm traveling and I actually do want to see what local gardeners are doing in this area. So we will give them that option, so it's less restrictive than Nextdoor.
Okay. Building on her question again, is what's your goals for the end of the year?
Our goal for the end of the year is to get this beta out very soon, to be an open beta, to get quite a bit of feedback. We would love to launch in a couple more cities, and maybe not cities that close to us, because it would be good to see. I'm from Seattle, so that's a community that I know does a lot of gardening, but they have a lot of different challenges than we have in California. So that would be a market that I'd like to see us go to. And then another thing is that we would like to, I really want to add in some more specific gardening features, because right now it's very much a social app, which is great, and that's what we wanted. We needed to build that out. But we want to make sure that we are not too redundant with other social apps. We want to have something very specific that helps you understand what to grow in your area. So we have a calendar and a plant guide that we'd like to launch pretty soon, and before the end of the year.
I guess I have a question around kind of the quality of the content that we post. I'm going to have like a review system or something where that it kind of self-manages, the quality of people trading foods or whatever.
Yes. So we have this whole eventual hope to have a rating system, so that essentially people, and also ratings of people that you are exchanging food with, because that's one of the things that's like really hard about Craigslist, right? You go on there, you want to meet someone, and they don't show up. We want that so that it doesn't happen. Like, you are incentivized to say that you were going to be where you were going to be when you drop off that food. You're incentivized to say honest things about what you actually have, because your rating goes down if you don't. We also want to do things called karma points. We want to give people points for sharing the app, for sharing produce. So also that way people who don't have a backyard garden but want to participate can participate and get karma points for just sharing the app and being there and answering questions or posting comment, and other things you can put in there is just local events. It doesn't, as long as it's food related, that's good. It doesn't have to be only about gardening. So that's one of the, we kind of want to gamify it a little bit and make it fun for people.
What would they get with karma points?
Just pure love. Yeah, no, I think we're thinking of it as more of sort of digital clout. We'll have badges and things like that. They'll get emails, things like that. But also, once we do have the freemium model, it could be that you could get first access to food that's available. Maybe you're the first to see it. Another thing that we thought about is people might get discounts on their subscription if they are a very active person doing a lot for the community and getting lots of karma points.
So I know you mentioned premium versus premium, but how will you make money? Is that the route you're going to go?
Yeah, so the three avenues that we're looking at are advertising through local advertisers, which is what Nextdoor has done, very much just focusing on advertising. Advertising is a hard model though, because you have to have so many views before you actually make money off of it. So we're looking at the other avenue, which is e-commerce, eventually letting people actually sell their food. And we would take a cut off of that. And then the third option that we're really looking into after e-commerce is, what is it? Blanking on it. Yes, the premium, sorry, exactly. So these features that gardeners really, really want and they need, and they're not going to get at other places, that part they have to pay for. The social network, we wouldn't make people pay for that. The ability to see your community, we don't want to block people through money, but it would be more of those gardening features that are very utilitarian that they need, that we would maybe have them pay a subscription for.
So my question is kind of on how to make money. Have you considered the soil manufacturers or the other technology that goes along with gardening that could possibly bring in revenue?
Yeah, so one thing that we've talked about, no, it's a great one. So partnerships are going to be huge for this product, and partnering with people that are in the urban gardening space, partnering with seed manufacturers, not manufacturers, but seed people who are growing organic seeds and selling them. That is going to be a big part, and then we've thought about actually affiliate fees too. So if we bring in products that we recommend, we would take an affiliate fee off of that. So I didn't put that in there. I'm trying to keep it sort of like to three things, but that would be another avenue in which we would make money is through affiliate fees.
So going back to kind of the freemium model and the marketplace of it interested me a lot. I wonder if there's a way instead of you take a slice off the top of, I don't know, some sort of credit card transaction, there's a way that maybe you have some sort of account balance within the app. And in that way, you don't become like a bank. And there you might be able to cut out some of that credit card fees.
That's that's a really interesting model. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. Yeah, if we get people really into it, that could be their, they just have an account with us. I like that. That's cool. Thanks for that suggestion.
I have a question, not a question, but a thought. A lot of people are using influencer marketing to get things going, and I'm thinking, I know there's a lot of food blogs, but I assume there's a lot of gardening bloggers too.
Yeah.
And if that is a route you're going in to get people information about your app by having food blog or gardening bloggers.
Yes, we're doing a lot of outreach to people like that. We're also doing outreach on UC Davis campus. But yes, we are looking at gardeners. We actually really want to work with master gardeners. I don't even know if you guys know of the Master Gardener program, but it's actually a statewide program. And actually many states have Master Gardener programs where these are people who actually volunteer to take a class and learn about gardening in their area. And then they are actually meant to be advocates for gardening in their communities and help other people garden. So we actually would love to work with them because they often will have a blog where they're doing their own outreach. So we're trying to tap into things like that. We're doing a lot in terms of social media to try to connect with those people as well. And I have some UC Davis interns that are also helping with some of that to just reach out to those kinds of people that are already talking about gardening. And you had questions?
So from what I understand, it seems like there's kind of 2 or 3 main features or selling points with at least like the sharing knowledge and then also sharing food. What made you decide to kind of focus on both of those things with your first version rather than one or the other?
Oh, that's a good question. So what we actually built at the hackathon, although we ended up totally rebuilding it, was just the sharing of the produce, and that was it. Honestly, it felt very utilitarian and like not quite enough to go out with. Although I think we could totally have done that, and it would have been a good start. But we are very much experimental. Decided to put those two up. We might discover that only one feature gets used, and we might deprioritize the information part. So we're just waiting to see what people, what they are attracted to. Yeah, and actually when we did interviews, it was kind of split. Half the people really wanted information, half the people were like, I just have too much produce and I really want to figure out a way not to waste it. So that was part of why we decided to try both.
And one more thing, I noticed with the Google search trends, it kind of follows a zigzag pattern. Is that just in line with the seasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, people in spring. That's when they want to know what to grow.
Any other questions? All right, well, why don't you stay up there?
Okay.
First, let's